All right, well, we're back in the kitchen. John Platt from the Midway Mercantile, chef, co-owner, and we are going to be making one of my favorite things, Gougeres. Simple, elegant French cheese puffs. And as we think a little bit about Mother's Day, we can think how wonderful these would be. They're perfect with champagne as an appetizer. And I also just want to point out my lovely COVID-19 hairdo. It's just getting longer and longer, waiting for the chance to actually go get my hair cut, which is not really often. Okay, so Gougeres are basically multiples of one, is the recipe. And so what I've got here, I've got a cup of milk, I've got a stick of butter, which would be 4 ounces, and I'm gonna have a teaspoon of salt in there. Beautiful. So that's going to come up to a boil, and we're going to take it off the heat. And what I love about these is that when we had a catering business in Seattle, we made these for virtually every party we ever did, whether it was for 6 people for dinner or 450 people for an auction dinner. Because what's great about them is you make them literally 15 minutes before people come in the door. And so when they walk in the door, they get the smell. They're these nice, fresh, warm Gougeres, and they love them, and it became sort of a signature for us. So we're just about up to a boil here. We had a little fun with these last night at Sandra's birthday party. She turned 34 last night, and she rocked it, as did all of our friends. And we stayed socially distanced, if you will believe it. Okay, so that's up to a boil. So now I'm just gonna turn it off. I'm gonna take a cup of flour, drop that in there. And I love the magic of this. Off the heat, very important. And it's just gonna come together. And we got a little bit of a boring batter right there. And we're gonna start making it better. Okay, so we're gonna put some eggs into that. Now in the kitchen with me today is, first of all those amazing people that I catered for all those years. Oh yeah, will you have those Gougeres? Will you have the Gougeres? And we would always deliver. I also have in the kitchen with me some of my great friends who catered with me, like Cass and Candy and Karen and Donna, all of whom became such incredible experts at this because we made them for every party. And we'll go through some of the things that I would always exhort them with as we went along. So it's a little funny how it works. One of the things is you kind of like to use a wooden spoon for this, because if you use a metal spoon, it really works hard on your hand and kind of cuts into your hand over time. So if you've got a nice wooden spoon, and you'll notice I just kind of break up the yolk, and we're making this batter, and we've just got one more egg to add after this, and then we're there. This recipe is based off of simple recipe, which is, I think, from a book called The New Basics, which Sheila Lukin wrote, which is kind of like a new version, a modern version of Joy of Cooking. But, and my friend Cass, who I cooked with for many years, she loved this recipe, but I felt like it was a little bit dull. And so I made a few changes to it that people like quite a bit. Okay, so now you see we got a nice batter there, okay? And now, all we gotta do, this is 2 cups of cheese. Sheila Lukin's was only 1 cup. So I use a cup of Parmesan cheese, a cup of Gruyere cheese, and that is gonna make these much cheesier, which to me is the whole point. If you've ever had profiterolles, a profiterole is basically a Gougere kind of almost probably a cheeseless gougere. And, you know, we have ice cream and hot fudge on that and all that kind of thing. But I'm going for some more flavor. So we got that beautiful, and you can see it's stiff, okay? And we're just gonna put this into a piping bag here. And I am looking forward to telling you about a dear woman I know. I'm not going to tell you any more than that I call her my little French cheese puff, because she's kind of like my gougere. Sandra loves these. I'm going to make these for Mother's Day, and I'll bet you that we're going to eat them warm from the oven while we drink a little champagne. All right. Okay. This, by the way, is a trick. Can't believe it was. I had a pastry chef working with me once a year ago, and it was time to fill the piping bag, and here I am holding it, and she said, well, just put it into a measuring cup, and wow, it works a lot better. Okay, this is a warm dough. Before I put that in, I want to show something very important. So we're going to pipe it onto the sheet pan. If I don't perform this trick, we are going to have this problem. You pipe, and then when you lift up, the whole paper comes with it. So annoying. So what you do instead is you just spray this pan liberally. Karen Lanfer, I'm thinking of you right now. And that will hold the paper down. And now we can pipe these out. And that one didn't stick. Put a little more on that, those guys, all right. So I usually can get either 8, well, I didn't do so well today. I got 7 by 5. Okay, so my little French cheese puff, Ginette. Good friends, Pierrette and Matthew. This is kind of Pierrette's semi-grandmother. She is 101 years old. She still works as an accountant. She flew out from California for a French wine dinner we were doing last June. And she is a petite woman who loves her food, loves her wine, and thinks that water is a waste of time. So she only drinks wine, and it's working for her. And so I made these when we were out visiting them, and they are my little French cheese puff like Ginette. Okay, so to get a little browning to happen on these, we're gonna take a scrambled egg. How many eggs would it take, Marsh?
1.
1, because everything's about 1 except for the amount of cheese. And we're just gonna kind of top these up like that. Oh, I'm hungry. Is it gonna be good? So the other thing, in the Sheila Lukens version, she was just gonna maybe sprinkle a little cheese on top. So I guess that's how she got a little more cheese into the game. But what I decided was, what about some nice seasoning? So we're gonna use some Herbs de Provence. We're gonna use some curry. And at St. Cloud's, we used to make in-house, we would make a Moroccan seasoning. And that is fabulous on there. So I'm gonna do half of these with, this has got a little bit of salt in it, the Herbs de Provence. And again, just think, you could have this with just plain old cheese on it, but we're gonna make it better. Yes, we are. You can see my Herbs de Provence. It's got some salt in it, because salt's always gonna make it better. Okay. And now we'll put some curry on the other ones. And that's part of what smells so good is the curry. And not much money in this, so you can afford to sprinkle it liberally on there and have it go off onto the pan. So don't make these ahead and don't ever try to serve them the next day. That will not be good. So they have what we're going to try to do is get a little bit of a crust on the outside, but we want the inside still soft and kind of like melted cheesy. And if you make them ahead, then what happens is the cheese starts to cool and then they get a little chewy and a little bit less elegant. Okay, so that easy. And now we put them in the oven. So you can do that. You can do that before your guests arrive. Maybe, you can actually make the batter ahead, let it sit for an hour while you go take your shower and everything. Pipe this on there, throw it in the oven. I'm gonna go at 400 on convection. And boy, ovens are all over the map. So we're gonna see if this is probably about right for us. At the restaurant, I go at 350 on convection. Some houses I would go to, I had to do 450. But we're gonna give this about 10 minutes and see what they look like. All right, let's take a look at what we've got in the oven here. Oh, perfect. Yeah. So you can see it's a little bit golden, but still, soft inside. Look at the bottom, just perfect. So we didn't burn anything. And yeah, that's just so nice. So I don't like to waste a lot of time here. So we're gonna kind of spatch these up. They're gonna not cook anymore. And just as a little experiment, I took some dough that I made yesterday, and Marsh rightly asked, well, can't you make the dough ahead? And I was like, we never did that. I'm all about fresh, but here we could do that. So these are ones that I made yesterday, and the dough that I made yesterday, we'll cook them up and see how they come out. And in the meantime, we've got these guys. So what I feel right now is light and crisp on the outside. Oh. Cheesy yumminess inside. So, not everybody drinks alcohol, but I can tell you that these little French cheese puffs are beautiful with some bubbles. So, that's for the mom. This is for the chef. Oops, a little bit more for the mom. Always look better if you serve them right side up. And most people don't even know that there's different flavors in there. They may recognize curry or Herbs de Provence, but they don't even notice that there's separate ones. They just start eating them. We hope you have a great Mother's Day, and as Sandra rightly pointed out to all the fathers in the world, do the dishes. You don't get to just, even if you get takeout from the Midway Mercantile, bring it home, put it on a nice plate, and then when everyone's done eating, put it all away, clean it all up, and look at your wife and say, you're a rockin' mother. See you guys.